You tapping in real quick, something light, nothing major. Peace and blessings and all that. You know what I'm talking about? Hopefully everybody's Friday has kicked off properly. And you know, your weekend's gonna go according to plan. You know what I'm talking about? This video right here, nothing too crazy, man. Something light, nothing major. We just fitting to sit here and chop it up one more again about this card while I burn this motherfucker down. You know what I'm talking about? Call it the final talks, call it the final walk, call it the final answer, call it the final lap, call it what you will. We fitting to run through this motherfucker from bottom to top one more again. You know what I'm talking about? Let's go ahead and dive into it, man. That first fight of the night, that is Narulo versus Joe Solecki. We've been through this already. Joe Solecki's a late replacement, man. He's filling in for Yanal Ashmul. However you say old boy's name, y'all know who I'm talking about. He withdrew, and in came Joe Solecki. If not for anything else, Joe Solecki is very consistent in the body of work, or lack thereof, that he is able to produce inside the octagon, depending on the level of opposition and the game plan that's coming with that level of opposition on the other side of the octagon. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? And one might like to think that Narulo's gonna come in here and kind of, you know, give us a run back of what Grant Dawson just did to Joe Solecki. Narulo is somebody who likes to implement an all-around body of work, much like Grant Dawson. You understand what I'm saying to you? One might believe and like to think that Narulo is, you know, a bit better than Joe Solecki in the wrestling and grappling departments. Is going to be able to come out here and lock up and secure takedowns with relative ease while implementing his all-around body of work up against Joe Solecki. But you have to go back and look, man. You know, if not for anything else, Joe Solecki, like I said, he's consistent in the body of work, or lack thereof, that he's able to produce inside that octagon. He's solid, he's well-rounded. There's nothing spectacular about him. There's nothing magnificent about anything that he's ever done anywhere in any cage for any promotion to anybody. You understand what I'm saying to you? But what has Narulo done that justifies this current price tag? It was a minus 540 when I wrote this. It's crept up over that. You know what I'm talking about? He's around a minus 600 now in some places. I just do not necessarily know. I don't understand. I have not seen with my own eyes, and I've gone and seen all that there is to see from Narulo in his little run as of yet. You know what I'm talking about? And I just don't, you know, I just don't know that he's going to justify this price tag. You know what I mean? I do believe he does possess the proper tool set to go out here and edge Joe Solecki out and get this one done. You know what I'm talking about? Joe Solecki's nobody's chump stop. I don't think he's just going to run all over Joe Solecki. As can be seen, he just went the distance with Grant Dawson. Grant Dawson, you know, some can say he dog walked him, beat the brakes off of him, implemented his all-around body of work on him over the course of 15 minutes to just overwhelm him, smother him, and edge him out absolutely everywhere. But that was Grant Dawson. And Grant Dawson didn't get him up out of there. So to think that Narulo was going to come in there and just have his way with him, when Grant Dawson, I mean, you know, he had his way with him, but he couldn't find that finish. You know what I'm talking about? He couldn't get him up out of there. And I just don't know that Narulo's going to be able to get him up out of there. You know what I mean? And he's over minus 540, so it just is what it is, man. I would tread lightly, man. I would tread lightly. This is over the minus 500 money line. Unless you're talking about a haymaker or a Hail Mary, do not have this wrapped up in your main plays and your main parlays, man. What does a minus 540, a minus 600 do to you, do for you anyway, unless it's like a 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, or so on leg? You know what I'm talking about? Wrapping a minus 600 up with a minus 295 and a minus 340, and then throwing your motherfucking, you know, throwing your grip down on that for the week. It's not worth the stress. It's not worth the headache. You know what I'm talking about? You're not getting a good enough plus money number. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. This ain't the full card breakdown and predictions, so we ain't gonna stay on this for too long, man. Just tread lightly, man. Tread lightly. These are fights I want nothing to do with unless it's haymakers and Hail Marys. You know what I'm talking about? Because while he does possess the proper tool set to get it done, we haven't seen that proper tool set used and that game plan implemented at this level on this tier. Not up against the same individuals that Joe Selecki's had to face. You understand what I'm saying to you? Tread lightly, man. Fatima versus Victoria, I got dog plays all over Victoria. You know what I mean? While Fatima was originally the pick and we're not going against it, it's dog plays all over Fatima. all over Victoria. I'm all over her, man. I am all over. I mean, look, let's go back. They're both coming off a loss. They're both coming off a loss. Fatima Klein making her UFC debut, 5-0 up against Jasmine. She loses. You know what I mean? She was originally a favorite, opened up as a favorite, then it went down towards a pick'em. I think maybe come close, she might have been a slight dog, rightfully so, because everybody got on the side of Jasmine as they should have been from the beginning. You know what I'm talking about? But anyway, she's coming off a loss to Jasmine, where she was about to even pick'em on her debut. You know what I'm talking about? Dudakova's coming off a loss to Sam Hughes, where she was a minus 550 going into that fight. You understand what I'm saying to you? Now let's go back and look at the body of work produced by both of these young women in the losses that they're coming off of, and let's see if we can try to figure out if this price tag is justified. Fatima's coming off of a loss to Jasmine, where she went 1 for 1 on her takedowns, but also got taken down and was out-volumed, out-striked about 2-1. She landed like around 40-something, 48, close to 50 strikes. She threw a bit more, but she always only was able to land, you know, around the medium, around 50-something, 48 to like 54 strikes, somewhere in there, if I'm not mistaken. I think she landed like around 48, but whatever. You know what I'm talking about? She was, you know, relatively low volume. She was able to lock up and secure a takedown, while Jasmine went, you know, she locked up and secured a couple takedowns and outstruck her about at least 1.5 or 2-1, if I'm not mistaken. That's the body of work that Fatima produced in her last fight, in her UFC debut, in her loss. You know what I'm talking about? 1 for 1 on takedowns and a medium as far as output. Now, in Victoria Dudakova's loss, she went 3 for 10 on takedowns and still put out and landed over 100 strikes. I think there's a lot to be, like, if people, you know, people want to take a lot from these losses. I mean, we're sitting here saying, okay, well, Fatima, you know, she came in and she lost to Jasmine. Victoria, she was undefeated, but she lost to Sam Hughes. Well, let's make Fatima a minus fucking 900 and let's make Victoria a plus 615, plus 700, huh? Based off of what? Because if we're going to go off of the body of work produced prior to them fights, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Fatima Klein looked fine, but she looked fine down there, just up against a different level of opposition. All these funny, built, weird-looking bitty bops that she was banging out with had no business being in the cage with her, if we're being honest, man. That's not the case up here. Now I'm talking about, now Victoria looked good prior to coming to the UFC too, but then she still looked good in the UFC, getting a knockout over motherfucking Estella and then beating Jin Yu. You know what I mean? Like, she's got some green in the UFC, and then she lost a highly competitive, closely contested matchup to Sam Hughes, where Sam Hughes was able to keep the fight upright and stuff a majority of the incoming takedowns. The volume numbers were relatively the same. They were very fucking close on what was landed and what was put out. And, you know, it was the 3 out of, you know what I mean? She was only able to secure 3 out of 10 of the takedowns. It was the stuffing of the majority of the incoming takedowns and doing a bit of the cleaner work on the feet that was able to get Sam Hughes that decision. But in that loss, She went 3 for 10 on takedowns while still landing over 100 strikes. So it lets you know that she's not only mixing in this all-around body of work, but she's also relatively high volume while she's doing it. She's not somebody that's going to go 3 for 10 on takedowns, and since she wasn't able to get her takedowns, her volume numbers are going to be down like around 20 or 30. Nah. She went 3 for 10 on takedowns. She wasn't able to lock up and secure the majority of her takedowns, but she was still hella active in the midst, in the mean, and in between. You understand what I'm saying to you? She's going to be active. The volume is going to be on her side. I believe her to be a cleaner and crisper striker than Fatima Klein, and I honestly believe her to be a better wrestler and grappler than Fatima Klein. Boy, oh boy, man. Huh? This is why I have action all over Victoria. The pick is Fatima because we done went through that last year. There will be no pick switching, and I put my picks for this card up like 3 fucking weeks ago. This card and UFC 311, I think I put my picks up before that, like 3.5 weeks ago, because they had them lines out earlier over on DraftKings. They only had a couple lines, you know, spread out for certain fights and certain events on these other apps. So I went to DraftKings and synced all the lines and posted them picks. As soon as they dropped all 14 lines for these fights, I posted them picks, and that was a couple weeks ago. You know what I mean? So we're not going to go back on any of these. We're not doing that. We just properly preparing for being on the wrong side of some of these. You know what I'm talking about, man? And I am properly prepared for being on the wrong side of that Fatima Klein pick. I think Victoria Dudikova is being disrespected. But moving on, Magomed, most confident pick. Not a whole lot to talk about. Bruno's solid. He's well-rounded. He's proven that he can be dangerous. I think Magomed's going to stay safe and put him in some compromisable positions on the feet and on the mat if it finds itself there, man. So, I've locked Magomed up. I don't like using the word lock. I'm not calling him a lock. I'm just telling y'all, I've locked him the fuck up. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not calling him a lock. I'm not telling y'all to lock him up. I'm telling y'all, I've locked him the fuck up. You know what I mean? Ernesta and Nicole, man, tread light. This is women's MMA. These money lines, you know, they're ridiculous. They're both prospects, you know what I'm talking about? And there's a significant hype and a significant reach advantage for Ernesta. But Nicole has been at a significant height and reach disadvantage in every fight she's ever fucking been in. It does not deter her or discourage her from implementing her all-around body of work. And I think she's going to get this one to the ground. And I think when she gets it to the ground, based off of Ernesta's get-up game, it's going to stay on the ground, possibly for the rest of the round, while she's searching for submissions and landing some ground and pound, trying to put this, you know, young woman in compromisable positions to find the finish. If she doesn't find the finish, I believe she possibly will win this one via a grueling decision, because Ernesta has to keep this fight upright, man. She has to keep it upright, and she has to land a cleaner, crisper, better shots on the feet over the course of 15 minutes, and I don't know that she's going to be able to do so. I think Nicole is going to smother her. I think she's going to apply the pressure. I think she's going to chain her wrestling together, and she's going to get this one down to the ground, man. So while Ernesta, much like Fatima, are the picks, I'm properly prepared for being on the wrong side of them shits as far as betting and parlaying is concerned, because I will have a couple haymakers and Hail Marys in for the prelims and for the whole card, and I will be on the app trying to hit all 14 fights for the whole card, man. You know what I mean? So swap out options are absolutely necessary if you're betting and parlaying. You know what I mean? Because I can see both of these first two female underdogs, you know, showing up and getting the job done. And if not, you know what I mean, showing up and keeping it very competitive, much like Rodriguez, you know, showed up, got it done, and got old girl up out of there. And then the second women's MMA, where it was, you know what I mean, match up that night, where it was a crazy money line. Shorty just tightened that money line up, tight like ant pussy, just tightened it right on up. You know what I'm talking about? And I could see it going like that. You know what I mean? Maybe both of these female dogs don't win. Maybe only one of them wins, and the other one tightens that motherfucking money line up like ant pussy and has everybody sweating. I'm talking about buttholes puckering when them motherfucking cards are being read off. You know what I'm talking about? Tread lightly on these fights, man. Tread lightly on Preston versus Jacoby, man. Tread lightly, man. Because Preston's been up here implementing an all-around body of work, heavy on the wrestling, heavy on the grappling, heavy on the pressure, you know what I'm talking about, at this level. It hasn't worked out for him all that great, But he has that experience, you understand what I'm saying to you? Of competing at this level, of walking to the octagon, of being inside the octagon, of dealing with these referees and these judges, these commentators, and everything that comes with making that walk to the octagon. There's a lot to be said about having all of that out the fucking way already and being comfortable in there. Jacoby, not so much so. Preston, all of that's out the way. He's comfortable in there. It's just about getting back in the win column and doing what he needs to do, but he also knows what he needs to do inside that UFC octagon to secure the victory. You understand what I'm saying to you? Because he's been on the wrong side of decisions. He's been on the right side of decisions. He's got that experience, you know what I mean? For what it's worth. The pick was Jacoby. We're not going back on that, you know what I mean? Jacoby's another one now. 535 when I wrote this, over the minus 600 money, 600 number money line. You know what the fuck I'm saying. Over the minus 600 money line as of right now. You know what I'm talking about? Probably creeping up to like minus 700. Might be 850 come tomorrow. Who the fuck knows? You know what I'm talking about? I wouldn't be surprised. It's the trend. They've been giving these UFC debuters and these prospects and these individuals coming off a road to the UFC looking for a fighter, Dana White Contender Series, so on and so forth. They've been giving these motherfuckers price tags next to their name that we never gave the GOATs in this game. Like we never gave Jose Aldo, John fucking Jones, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, motherfucking George St. Pierre. Like we never gave none of these motherfuckers some of these ridiculous money lines we're giving some of these prospects who are not proven, who are not battle tested, and who probably, for the most part, will not be in the conversation next year or the year after as far as the UFC is concerned, depending on how many fights they get scheduled for and L's they take in that time period. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? This shit be wild. But it is what it is, man. Thiago and Trey, now this shit could get dicey. This shit could get dicey for a lot of people. A lot of motherfuckers are probably on Trey to bark this week, you know what I mean? And as much as I like Trey and the run that the Marathon Squad has been on over there and all that, you know what I'm talking about? Man, this is different. This is different. If anybody is out there thinking that Thiago Moises is not Trey Ogden's biggest test as of yet, you've lost your motherfucking mind. You hear what I'm talking? You're out your rabbit-ass mind, homie. Huh? Then go back and look at that. Go back and look at that man's, what is he, 18 and 8? He's only 29 years old, man. Thiago Moises is only 29 fucking years old. For as long as he been here rocking out, banging out with the top of the heap, he's 29 years old, just coming into his prime. Trey Ogden at 35 years old, that's prime time Trey Ogden. He is in his prime. He is in the heart of his prime. This is the best Trey Ogden we are ever going to get. You understand what I'm saying to you? We have not seen the best from Thiago Moises yet, and that's saying a whole fucking lot. From as well-rounded and as solid and as well-rounded and as dangerous as he has proven that he can already fucking be, to say that at 29, we haven't seen the best of him, the kid's still entering his fucking prime, that's a bit fucking mind-blowing, man. You know what I'm talking about? The boy's losses, I mean, with the exception of like 1 or 2 out of his whole 8, come to all certified gats. Huh? Like, come on, man. He lost to Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush is a gat. That's an OG. That's a certified veteran. He's like 16-6-1 in the UFC. You know what I'm talking about? And him 6 losses don't just come to chumps. Beneil 16-6-1, if I'm not mistaken, in the UFC. That's no crazy loss. And he lost to Islam Makhachev, 15-1 in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken, and the current champ. That's no crazy loss. You know what I'm talking about? And he lost to Joe Alvarez, like 7-2 in the UFC. An absolute fucking gat on his way up to the welterweight. You know what I'm talking about? He just had his last little showing in the lightweight, fucking up Tricor Close. Now he's going to go on up the welterweight and start fucking up some people because there's some good matchups up there for him. But losing to Beneil Dariush, losing to Islam Makhachev, losing to motherfucking Joe Alvarez, Motherfucking losing to Ludovic Klein. Ludovic Klein's like 7-2 in the UFC or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. 7-2-1 or something like that, or 6-2-1. Like, he's a fucking gat too. Very solid, very well-rounded. You know what I mean? I'd love to see in 2025 Ludovic Klein versus Trey Ogden, and let's see how that one shakes out. You know what I'm talking about, man? Trey is now entering the fucking pit of fire that Thiago's been in for years, man. Because with a win over Thiago Moises comes all of the, oh yeah, and then Damir was like 7-2 in the UFC too. Like, the wins, I mean, the losses, you can't frown upon them losses, and the wins are what they are. Some of them are over prospects and don't mean much, and some of them are over motherfucking legitimate opposition. You know what I'm talking about? But either way you look at it, the level of opposition that these two been competing at, it's just undeniably in-fucking comparable, man. Thiago's already been in there with Islam. He's been in there with the fucking lightweight champ who's 15-1 in the UFC. You know what I'm talking about? He been in there with Beneil Dariush, who's up at the top of the heap and been at the top of the heap. You know what I'm talking? He been in there with Joe Wild. Like, these individuals that he lost. Trey Ogden ain't doing nothing to these motherfuckers, man. I done dropped my blunt. Trey Ogden ain't doing nothing to these motherfuckers, man. As much as I like Trey, and I like Trey, I like Miles, I like that whole marathon squad and what they've been doing inside the last 3 years. That last 24 to 30, maybe 20s, man, it been crazy. It been crazy. Last almost 3 years for the marathon team over there. They've been on a nice little marathon run. Miles ended at the end of 2024 when he had to fight Philippe. You know what I'm talking about? Or whatever old boy's name was that he just lost to. You know what I'm talking about? And now I think Trey's is going to come to a halt when he comes in here and fights Thiago, man. You feel me? Am I extremely confident? No, because I know one thing. I know Trey is in his prime. This is prime time Trey. This is the best fucking Trey we going to get. But Thiago, as well-rounded, as solid, and as dangerous as he has proven he can already be, is just entering his prime. And I believe the best, best days are still way ahead of him. You understand? We have not seen the best from him, where we have seen the best from Trey. We know what Trey's capable of at this level. You understand what I'm saying to you? We know, motherfucker might like to think they know what Thiago's capable of, but Thiago at 29 is just entering his fucking prime. He's just getting around all those learning curves, learning all those motherfucking lessons. He just got done hitting all those potholes and speed bumps, a couple roadblocks. He's been through all that, but he's been through all that at the highest fucking level with the Islams, Demirs, Benils, Joe. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? We're on the other side of things. Trey Ogden, like, he lost to Jordan Levitt. We can't act like that Jordan Levitt's a good loss. You know what I'm talking about? Damn, I can't even fucking think of, like, his losses are not good. His losses are not good, and if we're being all the way funky with each other, his wins ain't that great neither. He's in here looking good up against who he's looking good up against. We cannot let that deceive us, man. We can't let that deceive us, man. He's looking good against Loic. Loic's 2-2 in the UFC. You know what I mean? Let's talk about his last 2 wins, man. Because he's on like a 2-fight win streak or something. Everybody hype on him. You know what I mean? Like, he took the, what was it, Daniel Zellhuber that he took? He took the L from one of them long, lanky boys, and then one of them long, lanky boys gave him an L. You know what I'm talking about? So it's like, he looking good against a prospect, and then he not looking good against another prospect. He looked half-ass decent against Luke Razibov, who's 2-2 in the UFC and does not have an extremely high ceiling in the UFC. And he looked good against Kurt Harborough, who's like 8-2 in the UFC. You know what I'm talking about? Come on, man. Come on, we can't do this. We can't do this. Thiago has looked good up against who he's looked good up against, and who he's fell short to, the Islams, the Demirs, the Benils, the Joes. Trey just has not even entered that atmosphere yet. You know what I'm talking about? He is not on that tier yet. He has not entered that murderous row of motherfuckers Thiago has had to deal with already. You understand what I'm saying to you? So it's what I say about when you got prospects versus prospects, and you got jokers who have looked good as of yet up against who they've looked good up against. You understand what I'm saying to you? It's a different level of opposition, man. You know what I mean? It was the same with Raul Rosas. It was the same with Isaac Delgarian. It was the same with Cameron Simone. All three of these motherfuckers undefeated. Two of them, Raul Rosas, Isaac Delgarian, both of them like to implement a heavy wrestling and grappling game plan. Both of them, if you look at their stats prior to their fight with Christian Rodriguez, they were putting up close to 20 takedowns over the course of 15 minutes at a crazy respectable percentage. Accuracy. You know what I'm talking about? But then what happened? That stat had everybody like, oh shit, he gonna go in here and ball up Christian. And Christian made him go 3 for 16 on takedowns. Snatched that 2. He landed 2 out of 19 strikes. In 15 minutes, he landed 2 strikes, only threw 19. Because he was too busy trying to lock up and secure those takedowns that he's so used to being able to lock up and secure that when it wasn't going his way, it became so frustrating that he just kept trying to fucking get him down and he forgot about fighting. That's what Christian Rodriguez does to motherfuckers, man. And that is what motherfuckers are sleeping on, man. You feel what I'm saying to you? That's the type of shit you gotta worry about, man. That's the type of shit you gotta worry about when you look good as of yet up against who you've looked good as of yet up against. And it's not nowhere near the same level of opposition that your opponent has been competing against. You gotta take that shit into consideration, man. Motherfuckers didn't take that shit into consideration when Raul Rosas was getting ready to fight Christian. You know what I mean? And Christian made a believer out of motherfuckers. But for as much as he made a believer out of motherfuckers that night, people were still low on him when he fought Cameron Simone. So Cameron Simone came in undefeated. Like to implement an all-around body of work, a little bit nastier on the feet, a little bit more volume on the feet, not so much in the wrestling and grappling, but he still went over 5 on his takedowns. And still got outclassed on the feet by Christian Rodriguez, man. And then here comes Isaac Delgarian. Now, he's then turned away 2 undefeated motherfuckers. One of them that likes to implement a heavy wrestling and grappling game. Another that likes to implement an all-around body of work. But still motherfuckers are down on him. Still motherfuckers don't want to believe in this kid, man. You know what I mean? Isaac Delgarian, man, he's not Raul Rosas. He likes to implement that heavy wrestling game, but look at his physical frame. He's a bit more physically imposing. He's stronger. He's more technical with his entrances to the single leg and double leg, as could be seen in the matchup. He went 7 out of 16. Raul Rosas went 3 out of 16. Isaac went 7 out of 16. Maybe we can credit that to the physical frame, him being more physically imposing and having more technical and clean entrances into his single and double legs, but it still was not enough. It still was not enough because he got frustrated too. When you're going 7 for 16 and you're used to going motherfucking 7 out of 9 and just wrapping somebody up, or 7 for 7 or 5 for 5, that shit gets frustrating, man. And you start forgetting about fighting, and you start wanting, your ego gets involved, you start wanting to lock these motherfucking takedowns. Man, who this motherfucker think he is? Man, get the fuck over, get over here, motherfucker. Like, you start really trying to get after this motherfucker for the takedown that he's stuffed because you're so used to getting those takedowns. When that shit happens, man, this is when somebody like Christian Rodriguez, you know, significantly separates himself and wins via decision. I say that about Trey and Thiago because Trey just has not faced the same level of opposition as a Thiago Moises, man. As of yet, to be determined, this is, regardless of how anybody feels about it, his biggest fucking test, man. Tulio versus Ihor, and as of last night, I got some motherfucking money on Ihor. We gonna see what Ihor do. Motherfucking Ihor, man. Shoo. Tulio not that guy, man. Tulio is not that guy. If, it's a big if. You know what I mean? Tulio's the pick. But we gonna properly prepare ourselves if we so choose to parlay this motherfucker up because he's over that minus motherfucking, where he at? Over that minus 500 money line. We gonna properly prepare ourselves for being on the wrong side of that pick, man. Due to the fact that Ihor is sitting at like a plus 340 right now, plus 350, plus 360 in some places, man. And let's keep it all the way a buck. Tulio just has not been doing what he's been doing at this level. Ihor, it's been a roller coaster. He has some green, He has more red than he has green because he's suffered more losses than he, you know what I mean, has been victorious over here inside the UFC. But how well does Marco Tulio, or however you, how well does he do against Carlos Oberg? Know what I mean? How well does he do against Cesar Almeida? I'm talking about shit. How well does he do if he gets cracked by Nicolau? Nicolau knock out anybody from the heavyweight, light heavyweight where he's at, all the way to fuck on down, man. Huh? How the fuck is he going to do up against the same individuals that Eeyore didn't do too good up against, man? To be fucking determined. We do not know that, man. We do not know that. This isn't another undefeated individual. This is an individual who's been knocked the fuck out by an individual who's 8-5 right now. You understand what I'm saying to you? Who has not made his way to the UFC and will never make his way to the UFC because he's not fucking built like that. He's on nobody's radar and nobody's worried about him. That's who knocked out Tulio. So to think it's outside the realm of possibility for Eeyore to knock him out or drag him out to a fucking decision, as we've all seen Eeyore implementing that heavy wrestling and grappling more and more every fight, because he not going to keep fucking playing the okie-doke game with the Carlos Obergs and the, you know, Nicolau, Maraga, or whoever the fuck, who just at any given time, if they catch him, they can, you know, catch him and clip him cleanly. They can disconnect him from his consciousness like shit just wasn't going his way. This is a motherfucker in Eeyore who has learned from his losses. You know what I mean? He taking them learning curves. He's turning them learning curves very respectably so. He's taking it all in. He knows where he's falling short. He knows what's getting him caught the fuck up. And hence why he kept it very close and very competitive for what it's worth in his last fight against Cesar Almeida. You know what I'm talking about? He locked up a few takedowns. And if he is able to do so against Tulio, I would not be surprised. It would not be mind-blowing if Eeyore won via a split or majority decision. What if Eeyore comes in here like Austin Lane or Salsa Boy and just drags this one all the way fuck out? Just low volume, boring as a motherfucker, a lot of hip hugging and wrestle fucking, but gets it done. That's why we stay away from these -500s, man. Unless it's haymakers and Hail Marys, and then we properly prepare ourselves for being on the wrong side. Because why wouldn't we? At a -520, which you're going to have to put on what that individual's wrapped up in that parlay, well, when you take his counterpart at +390, I mean, you just have to, you know, it could be a 6-legger, and he could be a 6-leg, and you could put $6 on it, and it's still going to hit for hundreds of fucking dollars. You know what I'm talking about? So these dog plays, you don't have to go crazy. Jose and Philippe, do what y'all will, man. I like Philippe. Call it a fade on Jose. But I think if Jose plays that wrestle fuck game too much, because he's not going to like what's, you know, going on the feet. He's not at a significant reach advantage. He's at a height advantage, but to be determined. I want to see him, you know, face off here in a little bit after the weigh-ins. But I think Philippe could lock up a front choke, pull guard on a guillotine, or possibly snap some other kind of a limb in a sequence when they, you know, get wrapped up and entangled, man. So I'm still rocking with Philippe, but not a whole lot of action on it, man. You know what I mean? And my bad, I know we 33 minutes and 13 seconds in, and this is the final lap, the final talks, but what y'all expect, man? When I ran down the full card breakdown and predictions, that motherfucker went for over 2 hours this go-round. I don't know that I ever been on that motherfucker that long, man. That's what happens when they give us all this time off, man. I'd have put these picks out weeks ago. But I saved those quick picks in that full card breakdown and prediction video for this week, man. I had put my picks out for next week's card weeks ago. But I'm saving that full card breakdown and prediction and them quick picks for, you know, Sunday morning or Monday. You know what I mean? And some parlays are going to come in a little bit later on today, man. But, you know, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I was posting parlays for this card. You know what I'm talking about? They are all in 15 and you know, 60-second clips all over, you know, where my videos be at. And over on Instagram, FS, MMA, UFC, parlays, man. That shit's open to the public. You don't gotta follow me. You don't gotta do none of that shit. I don't give a fuck. It's open for the public, for y'all to see. You can just cruise on over there while you on IG, FS, MMA, UFC, parlays. You know what I mean? I'll open that joint up a few fight cards before the last fight card of the year. So for what it's worth, you can go on there and see. You know, I put my safe parlays on there. My safe bet, what I believe to be safe plays. And sometimes it's 2 legs, 3 legs, 4 legs. Sometimes it's 5 and 6. We've had 8 legs on that motherfucker that I felt comfortable with, and they've hit. They're there for you to see. You know what I'm talking about? And as well as the ones that I uploaded for UFC 311 and Ribas versus Dern 2. That might be a little bit out of order because they posted all the money lines for Ribas, for 311 before Ribas versus Dern. So I was jumping all over some of the money lines and parlaying some of them individuals up right away to catch those early bird money lines. And I was throwing them what I thought to be safe plays and parlays on that page, as well as putting them over here on YouTube in little 15-second clips. But they're all over there on that page, you know what I'm talking about? And it might be like the last card of the year, whatever I had on there, and then it might be like 311 and then Ribas verse 2, or it might be Ribas verse 2. I think I went back and rearranged it. I deleted them and put them back in there, so it does go in order. Ribas verse 2 and then 311, but up at the top, there's going to be some Ribas versus 2 again. You know what I'm talking about? Like I uploaded some Ribas, some UFC 311 joints, then I took them down, put the Ribas versus 2 joints up so they would be in order, then put the UFC 311s on top of them. But then I rang in with a few more UFC Ribas versus 2 parlays, and they're on top of the UFC 311. So it is what it is, man. You know what I mean? FS, MMA, UFC, parlays. IG. When you on IG, just slide on over there. You see what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And you'll see what, you know, what I considered to be my safe plays in the cards before on last year when I started the page. You feel me? Because they're still there. And they smacked. You know what I'm talking about? Everything that's on there smacked. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. And then there's the FS, MMA, UFC picks. You feel me? Again, all of this shit is open to the public. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to like nothing. You don't have to follow nothing. You don't even have to let me know you was over that motherfucker. You could just slide through, breeze through that motherfucker, see what you want to see, take from it what you want to take from it, dissect what you want to dissect, and go about your business. I ain't asking for no likes. I ain't asking for no nothing. I'm just letting y'all know that shit open to the public. And a lot of the parlays that are over there sometimes don't make their way into my parlay video and vice versa. You know what I mean? Main card, man. It's Punahele for me. Y'all do what y'all want to do. That's how the fuck I feel, man. It's Punahele for me, and y'all do what the fuck y'all want to do, man. Fuck a Eurosmetric, man. I can't get behind a motherfucker in mixed martial arts who does not have an all-around body of work, man. That's just me. That's just me. Your days are fucking numbered, scrap. You got an expiration date. That's just that. With that, it's a motherfucking fact. There's nothing you can do about it, man. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do about it. If you don't have an all-around body of work, man, even if it's not offensively, defensive, like you got to have an all-around body of work, man. If you can't keep the fight upright, or you can't operate off your back, if your get-up game ain't shit, you ain't using your guards, your butterfly, you ain't springing them off. Like if you just right here, up here with it, you know what I mean? Everything down here is shit. I can't get behind you, man. And Euros is up here with it, man. He can throw his motherfucking hands. You know what I'm talking about? Got some nice little knees. The kick arsenal is not diverse. You feel me? His days are numbered, man. He got an expiration date. You know what I'm talking about? His takedown defense, it's not there, man. It's just not there. His get-up game, it's not there. For anybody who can properly position themselves on this individual, it's not there. His jiu-jitsu defense, it's not there, man. This is an individual who reminds me of a Borshev Slavoclaz up here at welterweight. I don't fucking like him. I'm not high on him. There's nothing spectacular about him. There's nothing magnificent about him. There's nothing special about the body of work this motherfucker's been able to produce, man. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. You fight Jalen Turner, you fucking lose. He outvolumes you 2-1 before going for 1 takedown and 1 submission attempt for 1 submission finish inside the distance. You know what I mean? You fight Mikdai Orobai, who in my personal opinion is a one-trick motherfucking, like the boy don't got a whole lot going for him, man. He got a 1-2, he got a nice body kick, he got a clinch grab, and if you allow him to get you down to the ground, he's got a guard. You know what I mean? Like, he's not that good of a jiu-jitsu practitioner in my personal opinion, especially not at this level. You know what I mean? He's not that good of a fucking fighter at this level if we keeping it funky with each other. But he went 7 for 10 on his takedowns because Eurosmetric takedown defense is just not there. He was able to get up 6 times based off the fact that Mikdai Orobai is just not that guy. But on his 7th time, he was submitted inside the distance to get finished, if I'm not mistaken. Now, when we talk about this young man's wins, his last win was over a past his prime, best days behind Timothy Dirty Bird Means, who didn't attempt any takedowns, just came out there and tried to crack with him, got cracked and went down. Omar Morales attempted no takedowns. Came out there. I think, who was it that one of these fights, he went for, Eurosmetric went for the takedowns. You know what I'm talking about? Like, and it might have been against Omar Morales' bum ass. You feel me? But it was like, you go against Omar Morales shoots for no takedowns, plays your game, and you get him up out of there. Who was it, Alon Cruz or somebody? Like, he had another bum. He had another bum who played his game with him. Punahele is not going to play his game with him. You understand what I'm saying to you? As can be seen in Punahele's welterweight debut. I'm not trying to keep making a whole lot off of that welterweight debut, but that boy damn near put up record numbers, man. How can we not make a lot about of it? Huh? His welterweight debut, he went 331 out of 391 strikes. 331 out of 391 in a 3-round fight over the course of 15 fucking minutes in a welterweight bout. Are you fucking kidding me? 331 out of 391. That's over in 3 rounds. That's over 100 strikes each round at an 80-something% accuracy. Come on, man. Come on, man. And then 170-something out of whatever on significant strikes for an 80-something% accuracy. And then 5 out of 6 on his takedowns for a high 89% accuracy, man. This is not something he would be able to do at middleweight. These middleweights, some of these middleweights could be at light heavyweight, and we all fucking know it. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? Much why Joaquin Buckley, I don't like to keep making a comparison, but I got to talk about somebody that motherfuckers know right now. Joaquin Buckley, what the fuck was he doing, man? What the fuck was he doing? This motherfucker was getting knocked out by Kevin Holland, knocked out by, drug out by, they just handled up there at middleweight, man. Because his frame, his physicality, he was not able to implement his all-around body of work up there at that weight class. What happened when he came down here to welterweight, though? Joaquin Buckley, he's talking about Joaquin Buckley's wrestling and his grappling and his all-around body of work and how fucking great that young man's look, because sometimes it's that, like when you're cutting the weight too much, like a Charles Oliveira. Look what happened to him when he hopped the fuck up from being down there. Losing it, just not coming up right, and then coming up here and right to the fucking title. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Some people, they need that division chain. They need to be where they need to be able to do what they need to be able to do, if you understand what I'm saying to you, man. And the only way that Punahele Soriano was going to be able to implement his all-around body of work was down here at welterweight, man. He came over, he didn't want to cut weight. You know what I mean? Why cut weight? Let me just go up here and bang out. And listen, man. The wrestling, the grappling, that all-around body of work, he just could not implement it. While it, you know, he had his ups and his downs. He knocked out who he should have knocked out, you know what I mean? And for the most part, lost to who he should have lost to, with the exception of maybe Nick Maximoff. You know what I'm talking about? Who the fuck wants that loss? You know what I mean? With all due respect to the homies and them, your mans ain't that guy. But, yeah, man. You know, it was a roller coaster for him up there. So he came down to welterweight against a striker. Euros is a striker. Miguel is a striker. Now, there's nothing special about Miguel, but there's nothing special about Euros neither. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? He knocked out Omar Morales and he knocked out Timothy Dirty Bird Means in Timothy Dirty Bird Means' 60th fight. You know what I mean? Like, he's 53-17-1, and he was like going into his 60th fucking fight at 40-something years old when he fought motherfucking Euro Smechik with all that motherfucking wear and tear on the body and all those miles on his body. You know what I'm talking about? Nothing about that win impresses me. And then Omar Morales was a fucking chump. He was a chump. Let's keep it funky. He was a chump. He not about that. Not at this level, not on this tier, not with these individuals. And to come out there and he made a motherfucking bad judgment call. Omar Morales has an all-around body of work. It's pretty fucking solid. And if he chose to implement it, he might have been able to find a submission or a decision or a ground and pound finish over Euros. But he didn't. He went in there and he wanted to strike with the striker and he came out wrong. Punahele's not going to entertain that. He's not going to be his Huckleberry in that department. Punahele's going to come out here. What would you do if you were at middleweight and you thought to yourself, like, you know, these Joaquin Buckleys and them, they're more around, you know, as far as physicalities and physical frames are concerned, they more built like me. You know what I mean? They're built, I mean, they bodies are built better for the divisions that they're currently in. Let me see how this motherfucking switch up works for me, because I fought it welterweight before. Let me see what's happening, man. So he goes down. He makes weight. He goes in and puts on a fucking performance of a lifetime. 331 out of 391 strikes, 100 and something out of whatever significant strikes, 5 out of 6 on takedowns, defended 3 submission attempts, just an immaculate performance. One would like to think that he's going to want to continue that trend, like that he has finally spun those learning curves. You know what I mean? And he's may not be done with some potholes. He may still run into some roadblocks because he's not going to be a champion down here. But one might like to think, man, that he know better now. He know better. He know Euro Smechik. Like, if I know Euro Smechik is undefeated with the exception of 2 individuals that took him down, made him uncomfortable, put him in a compromisable position, and found the finish via submission, why wouldn't I do that to him? Why wouldn't I do that to him? This is 2025. This is a brand new year in a brand new division that I just debuted in at the end of last year and put on an immaculate, record-breaking performance in. Why would I not continue the trend? Why would I go in here and try to fuck this up? I mean, he would have to be outside of his rabbit-ass mind. His fucking cornermen, his team members, his coaches would have to be outside of their rabbit-ass motherfucking minds. Not to be over there implementing the heavy wrestling and grappling and, you know, going heavy in that jiu-jitsu department as well, man. You possess all of the tool sets. This man does not have a good takedown defense. If that's what he's working on right now, let's work on getting him down, because he does not have a great get-up game. Let's work on properly positioning ourselves and our frames on top of his so we can hold this motherfucker down. This motherfucker does not like being on the ground. He's uncomfortable on the ground. Let's put him in compromisable positions and search for this submission until we can find it, sink it in, lock it up, and get him out of here inside the distance, man. Smother this motherfucker. Don't let this motherfucker breathe. Put that motherfucker down and don't let this motherfucker up. You'd have to be outside your rabbit-ass motherfucking mind if that's not what's going on over there with that motherfucker right now, man. This man is undefeated against motherfuckers that don't take him down. He is undefeated against motherfuckers who do not attempt to put him in a outside of his comfort zone. You got to make this motherfucker uncomfortable, man. You want a goddamn, you want a dub? You want to catch a win? You want that post-fight bonus without asking for it? Go out there and get your motherfucking job. Do the work. Do the work. Get that motherfucker down to the ground, man. Make that motherfucker uncomfortable. Put his ass in the comp. Man, loosen him up a little bit. Got him. Get him out of there, man. Huh? Now 50 grand is coming your way anyway. Don't even ask for it. Don't even ask for it. Don't be one of them. Don't be one of them. 9 out of 10 that don't 9 out of 10 that ask for it don't get it from Dana. You know what I'm talking about? And 10 out of 10 that don't ask for it get it every fucking time. Just put that work in, man. Puna Heli go out there and put that work in. Put that boy on his back. He don't like being on his back. Huh? Smother that motherfucker, man. Muffle that breathing. Rub your fucking forearm, your elbow, man. Just all in his shit. Just frustrate. Box them motherfucker and smack this motherfucker as soon as he slip up. Get him the fuck up out of there, man. The blueprint is there. I have to rock with Puna Heli because the blueprint is there and the tools, the capabilities, the tool set that he possesses, man, it's there. It's all fucking there. I gotta rock with him. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I know not to ever rock with him again because the only way I'm wrong is if he goes in here and he tries to stand his motherfucking ground, no back steps, and bang out. That's the only way I'm wrong. That's the only fucking way I'm wrong. If he goes in here and he wrestles, I ain't wrong. If he goes in here and he wrestles, I ain't wrong. Puna Heli's different. Puna Heli's different than a McDye or a Bai. Puna Heli's different than a Jalen Turner. That fucking frame, that physical, and physical abilities, the opposingness of his frame when he's on top of you, man, listen, man, he got good top game, good top control, good ground and pound. We ain't seen it yet in the UFC, but I wouldn't be surprised if he showed us some good submissions, man. Now I'm talking about, I got worked up over that one, my bad. Puna Heli know what he need to do, man. If Puna Heli comes out here and loses this motherfucking fight, I was wrong. You know what I mean? I was wrong, not on Puna Heli possessing the proper tool set to go out here and get it done, but on Puna Heli and Puna Heli's team and Puna Heli's coaches being a bit, you know, I'm giving them too much credit. I'm giving it, if he loses, it's because I'm giving them too much credit, man. If I was just on his team, I'd be telling him. While I'm sparring with him and rolling and wrestling with him, I'd be all in his motherfucking ear telling him, you know this is how you get it done. You know this is the only way you gonna get it done, motherfucker. Don't stop now. I'll be talking shit. I'll be letting him know. Because that's how you get it done. That's how you get it done, man. You don't go in there and strike with Alex Pereira. You know what I mean? You don't go in there and strike with Israel Adesanya, I guess, unless you're Sean Strickland. You know what I mean? But you don't rightfully. There are individuals, in my personal opinion, and this is fucked up to say. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I know it burns this motherfucker. I know this motherfucker. So I know it burns this motherfucker inside. I know it burns him. Derek Brunson. Derek Brunson could have beat Israel Adesanya. All Derek Brunson had to do was wrestle from the jump. Just wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. Wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. Wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. It was only 15 minutes. It was only 3 rounds. Wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. The gas tank was there. Wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. The wrestling was there. The grappling was there. Wrestle, wrestle, wrestle. Fuckers want to strike with him, though. And they get to looking crazy out that motherfucker. You know what I'm talking about? They get to looking crazy out that motherfucker, man. All Puna Heli has to do is wrestle, man. Puna Heli wrestles. Puna Heli's a good enough wrestler. He's a powerhouse. You know what I mean? Puna Heli's the type of motherfucker that when he gets you thinking about the wrestling, he could knock you the fuck out on your feet. He can clip and disconnect just about anybody in this division, in my personal opinion, if he catches them clean. And that's what mixing up the motherfucking wrestling and the grappling will leave openings for, you know what I mean? You might think that motherfucker's great shoot in on another motherfucking single when he just uppercuts the fuck out of you. You know what I mean? Catches you with a smooth hook, shovels your body, and then rocks you up top. My bad, y'all. I'm fucking bored. You know what I mean? I ain't even got nowhere near burning this motherfucker down. Anybody who's still tapped in, I appreciate y'all. Because I'm being redundant as a motherfucker. We done been through most of this shit. It's just the final talks, the final walks, the final laps. You call it what you will. We running through this motherfucker one more again. From bottom to top, you heard me? And it is what it is, man. It very much so. It just is what it is, man. But I gotta fuck with him. I got to fuck with him, man. And I gotta fuck with him with extreme confidence, man. With extreme confidence to cash as a dog right before this next dog. My baby C-Rod, he got the hair going right now, too. He got the hair going on. Hey, gotta watch him. Gotta watch his C-Rod when he start feeling himself, man. You know what I'm talking about? And you gotta remember this. One thing that you have to remember about C-Rod, you know what I mean? Regardless of how you may feel about the young man, that motherfucker is still over there where he's been in one of, I mean, come on, man. That camp, that squad, that team, them coaches, they get a motherfucker and keep a motherfucker right. You understand what I'm saying to you? The team members that he has to roll with, to wrestle with, to spar with, just the team, the coaches, the support. You know what I'm talking about? Not gonna say it's unmatched, man, but it's right on up there with the top of the top and the best of the best. You know what I'm talking about? And that's where he's been. And this young man is still coming into himself as well. This is a young man who, again, we have not seen the best days from him neither. Austin Boshy's another young man. You know what I mean? Best days may very well have not been seen by him either. But I gotta rock with who's proven, who's battle tested. Austin's not here, regardless of how you fucking feel, and regardless of how good he has looked. You must remember, all of these people looked good, for the most part, en route to the UFC. Fatima was undefeated and looked great. That shit didn't matter when she fought Jasmine. Jasmine's not a champion. Jasmine's not gonna be a champion. There's levels to this shit, and she's not on that level. Fatima's proven already where her ceiling is inside the UFC. You know, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Magomed, Godziulov, one of my most confident picks on this card. But that O is going to go. Magomed is not going to keep that O intact and find his way up in the title contention. Take a title. He's not retiring undefeated as a champion. He's just my most confident pick on this card in this matchup. You understand what I'm saying to you? People look good up against who people look good up against until shit gets different. You know what I'm talking about? And shit's gonna get different for Magomed real fucking quick if he keeps on keeping on. You know what I mean? Narulo over Joe Selecki. It's another undefeated motherfucker. That O's gonna go. This is the 155-pound division that Narulo, unfortunately, happens to find himself in. So with the win over Joe Selecki, what do? Maybe we give you a Drew Dober. Maybe we say, fuck it. Maybe Narulo beats a Joe Selecki, and we take Narulo, and we take that Brazilian in the lightweight division from the Fighting Nerds that's a prospect, Gene Silva, and we give him the motherfucking Narulo. In my personal opinion, Narulo's O's gonna go. You know what I mean? And that's just another prospect on his way up the road. You feel what I'm saying to you? This lightweight division's a murderous motherfucking row, and it always has been, man. You know what I mean? And it's not always, the lightweight division's been one of them deep murder. It's not like, you know, you in certain In certain divisions, you find yourself into like that top 10, somewhere in the top 7 or the top 5, and it's like, oh, it's a murderous road from here. Man, shit. The lightweight, sometimes you find rank number 17, 18 is just crazy on his way in. You know what I'm talking about? And then 13 and 9, 11, 7, all these motherfuckers are just a problematic, man. The Rulo don't got a high ceiling. Not over here in the UFC. Not in the 155-pound division. You understand what I'm saying to you? So while I like Narulo and I'm not in love with the price tag, but I like Narulo to get the job done, that's until he's properly, matched up with a certain level of opposition, man. Like, these O's are gonna go, man. These O's are gonna go. Austin Bashi, come on, man. This the featherweight division. And he likes to implement a heavy wrestling and grappling. Come on. How fucking high of a ceiling does Austin Bashi really have inside the UFC? And he likes to implement the body of work that he likes to implement. We got the Umars. We got the Marabs. You know what I'm talking? I mean, the list is going to go crazy in these. I mean, you got up there. I said more. We got the motherfucking Ilias. You know what I'm talking about? You got everybody that's in that motherfucking, in that division. My bad, I spoke on them because I'm thinking about them for next week. But you got you got the Diego Lopez's in that division. Come on, there's so many people in that division. Where the fuck is Austin gonna go, even with a win over Christian Rodriguez? You know what I'm talking about? That O is gonna go. This shit is inevitable. And that's how I look at these motherfuckers, man. You know what I mean? It's absolutely necessary to look at these motherfuckers that way. You give them the respect that they deserve, but do your due diligence, man. Do your homework, man. Do yourself a favor and look at these motherfuckers and ask yourself, man, is this motherfucker fitting to run through the featherweight division over here in the UFC, man? Implementing the body of work that he likes to implement. Is he fitting to run through this featherweight division and not hit no potholes and not hit no speed bumps, man? Not running into any roadblocks. This dude just gonna stay undefeated, man, and beat all the motherfucking, Aljos that are now in this division, the Masvar Evalovs, the Diego Lopez's, the Dan Iges, the so on and so forth, the Arnold Allens, come the fuck on, man. No! He's not. It's not gonna happen. Absolutely not. You understand what I'm saying to you? I don't give a fuck how you feel right now. Tap back in with me tomorrow night and tell me how you feel, even with a win over Christian Rodriguez, because if he gets a win over Christian Rodriguez, it's going to be highly competitive, it's going to be closely contested, and it's going to be a majority or a split decision where both of their names get called off, and he just ends up getting a nod and keeping his O intact. And then tell me how you feel about that after watching that match with Christian Rodriguez, so highly competitive and closely contested. Tell me how you feel about how he's going to fare moving forward, that he's just going to run through folk. You're out your fucking mind. So I look at it like that O's gonna go. It's fucking inevitable. It's just about when's that O gonna go, who's gonna take it from him, and is Christian Rodriguez the guy to be able to do it tomorrow? I personally believe he possesses the tool set to get the job done. I like the team, I like the support system, I like the coaches, I like the body of work produced by this young man. I like the body of work that he's been able to stop his opponents that like to implement a heavy and wrestling game plan. He likes to stop them from being able to produce. You know what I mean? It's not a whole lot I don't like about Christian Rodriguez. It's not too much bad I have to say about him, except for, when they placed him up against my boy, we knew how I was going to go. We called that one. And we and Julian wrapped him up and got him out of there inside the distance and cashed on that one. You know what I mean? But this ain't Julian or Rosa. You feel me? This is a completely different stylistic matchup, different frames, different levels of experience, and I gotta rock with him, man. I gotta fucking rock with him. Roman Almeida and Carlston, you already know what it is, man. You already know what it is, man. Roman's gonna frustrate the fuck out of Chris. That's gonna be that with that. He gonna, touch him with the jab, string some combinations together, work the wrestling and grappling, just produce an all-around better body of work. He's not just going to box Chris Curtis in the phone booth or just boxing for 15 minutes, period. So, you know what I mean? That's Roman all day. Cesar Almeida all day, in my personal opinion. UFC, ESPN, whoever doing it, y'all need to stop that shit. I don't know who y'all trying to mislead. Abdul Razak Al Hassan. He is 6-0. He is undefeated when he is able to land a knockdown in his fights. Man, get the fuck up out of here. When he's able to land a knockdown in his fights, go look at who he's able to knock the fuck down. You know what I mean? Get the fuck up out of here. He not knocking Cesar Almeida down. It's crazy, right? He's 6-0 when he's able to knock an opponent down. Nothing about the judo man being 6-0 when he's able to take a motherfucker down, right? Get the fuck up out of here with all that nut ass shit, man. Nobody give a fuck about what you talking about, man. Cesar Almeida fit to knock this motherfucker down. And if he don't knock him down, he gonna knock him around. You know what I mean? And he gonna stuff the majority of the incoming takedowns. Over the course of 15 minutes, produce an all-around better body of work. Cesar Almeida has learned. Cesar Almeida goes to the proper channel, goes through the proper channels and goes to the proper places. He's over there with motherfucking Alice Pereira, Glover Teixeira. He's over here with these ones. He's over here with them. I mean, he's going everywhere. He's learning from everybody. He's doing everything he need to do to tighten up his motherfucking holes, man. Chris Curtis, not so much so. He just wants somebody to stand and fist fight with. And if you're not going to do that, well, fuck you. I'm talking about. And he going to take a loss. And Carlson Harris versus Ponzi, man. For everybody that's on Ponzi, man, please keep running to the window, man. Ponzi was a -130. Carlson was a +110. I just looked. Carlson was a +114. Ponzi was like a -136. Keep pushing Ponzi. Keep pushing Ponzi. Keep pushing Ponzi. I want y'all to keep pushing Ponzi, man. And if I'm wrong, I'll tap back into all this shit, as y'all know, and rub it right in my motherfucking chest. It is what it is. On to the next one. You know what I mean? But I like Carlson. They both coming off a loss, man. They both coming off a loss. You know what I mean? And you know, Carlson's coming off a loss to Kalen Chaos Williams. And Ponzi's coming off a loss to Muslim Salikov, man. It is what it is. You know what I mean? Carlson's other loss is to Shavkat Rakhmonov. You know what I mean? Ponzi's had quite a few losses in his last 10 fights. He's like 1-4 in his last 5 fights. He's been knocked out a couple of times. You know what I'm talking about? And he's lost via decision. So I said it in my little clip, man. I like Ponzi. Ponzi's solid, man. Ponzi's well-rounded. Ponzi has proven that Ponzi can be dangerous at certain times. But this is 2025. Ponzi did his best work between like 2013 and 2018, if we're being honest. If anybody wants to talk to me about, well, Ponzi got some good names and some good wins on his resume, he does, about a decade ago. It's 2025. He was beating jokers and catching dubs in the welterweight division over jokers like Sean Strickland when he was in the welterweight division in like 2015 and shit like that. Like, he did his best work between like 2013 and 2018. This is 2025, 7 years later. You know what I'm talking about? He's taken a lot more damage. He's got he has a lot more miles and a lot more wear and tear on his body than somebody like a Carlson Harris. Carlson Harris is more dangerous. They both, as far as where they are in life, 37 and 38. Carlson's 37, Ponzi's 38. They're around the same exact height. Ponzi has like a 73. Carlson has like a 76-inch reach. He has like a 3-inch reach advantage. He's going to use it to his advantage. He has the power advantage. He has the speed advantage. He has the wrestling, grappling, and jiu-jitsu advantage. In my personal opinion, Carlson Harris holds all the advantages. Literally, if you want to talk about him, all of them. He holds a year youth advantage. He holds a 3-inch height advantage. He holds the speed advantage, the power advantage, the diversity in the striking department advantage, the jiu-jitsu advantage, the wrestling, the grappling advantages. You understand what I'm saying to you? The only advantage that Ponzi holds over Carlson is that of having been here in the UFC competing at this level for as long as he has been here in the UFC competing at this level. Had Carlston ran into Ponzi back when like Neil Magny and Sean Strickland and certain people were running into him in that little run between like 2013, 2018, maybe we'd have a different conversation. I don't necessarily know that we'd be having a different conversation even if he caught up with him in like 2021. You know what I mean? Like, it just is what it is. I feel like Ponzi's reached his expiration. His best days are behind him. And now I guess he's just kind of fighting out his contract because he's not getting a new one. Nothing's gotten extended. He must, he comes from that era of 8 fight contracts and shit like that. That's the era that Ponzi comes from. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's, got 1, 2, maybe 3 fights left on his contract. Probably this one and another one. You know what I mean? And he's just kind of fighting it the fuck out at this point, man. Like, I can't, man. You know what I mean? I can't see a night that he wins this fight. So, just is what it is. And Ribas versus Dern is what it is. I think it's going to be highly competitive and closely contested, where Amanda's just going to edge it. I do not believe Mackenzie Dern can win this fight. In particular, specifically this fight, without a finish. You know what I mean? Styles make for matchups and durability. Everything comes into play in this matchup because it's going to be highly competitive. It's going to be closely contested. You know what I'm talking about? I just think Amanda is going to edge it because Mackenzie is going to wear it a lot more. Now I'm talking about the reactions to the shots and the damage from said shots is going to show a lot more on the Mackenzie Dern side, and that is going to mean a lot. Unfortunately, it's going to mean a lot. Their strikes might be within 20 from each other, all the way, all together and significantly. Now I'm talking about, and Mackenzie might, lock up a couple takedowns out of so many. Very close. But the shots, I said it before, Mackenzie wears her shots like a Frankie Edgar wore his shots in the lightweight division. You know what I'm talking about? Like when he would get hit by Benson Henderson or somebody like that, it was just different than when he would, he could 2-piece, 3-piece one of them, boop, bow, bip, rip him to the body, boop, you know what I'm saying? Boop, 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 come over the top. You know what I mean? And it just didn't matter. That one shot that they would hit him with in that exchange was so more significant. So much more significant. You know what I mean? Bumblebee Frankie up, or bust Frankie, make Frankie stutter step backwards or something like that. Like it was just different. It was different. The impact, the wear and tear, just everything was different in in them Frankie Edgar fights, man. And that's how it is with Mackenzie. You know what I mean? My bad, I went off. That's how it is with Mackenzie, though. She wears it. You know what I mean? She just wears it, man. When you crack her and you get the piecing on her a couple times over a couple rounds, man, and then, she really started to wearing that shit, man. She started to, swelling up. She get to leaking, you feel me? And she keeps coming forward, though, especially when she knows she's behind and she's getting clipped like that. That little motherfucker, Mackenzie will keep coming forward. Like, she's durable. She's tough. She will keep coming. You have to get her the fuck about. You had to get her the fuck up out of there. You know what I mean? I almost knocked the cherry off. That could have been messy and fell in my lap. But you gotta, beat it out of her. You gotta beat that win out of her. Like, you gotta go. She'll survive and you'll get the decision. But if you want that finish, you know what I mean? You gotta beat it up out of her. And when you're beating her in the fight, like, it's fucked up. I don't want tomorrow night to be all about how tough and durable Mackenzie Dern is, you know what I mean? Because if she starts to feel behind, she'll keep coming fucking forward. And Amanda might just keep cracking her, teeing off on her, you know what I'm talking about? And she'll just keep eating that shit, trying to get in and get her all, you know what I mean? She'll eat them to give them. She'll take them to give them, you know what I mean? She's a tough motherfucker, man. I keep trying to. I'm holding myself. I keep like that motherfucking bitch. Like I keep trying to. You know, I don't want to disrespect her and call her out no crazy shit. She's a tough motherfucker, man. You know what I mean? Like if it slips out my mouth, like, oh, this bitch is. I'm not calling you a bitch. You know what I mean? If you see this, I'm not trying to disrespect you. That shit, I can't help that. You's a tough motherfucker, man. You know what I mean? She tough, man. She tough, and she'll come for it. I just think Amanda will be there to give it to her. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. That's that. That's a wrap. That's the final talks, man. Final answers. Ain't nothing changed. Ooh. Look at that here. That's letting me know it's over, huh? I done knocked the fucking cherry off. I done lit that motherfucker. Almost took a whole bud down the throat. Come on, we not doing it like that, man. We ain't finna do it like that. That'd have been a messy. That'd have been messy. I might have been over this motherfucker, eyes watering it all. That is a husky little bud. That's a little motherfucking candy. Shot out the bottom of that motherfucker. Got that fire OG rolled up too. That motherfucker's trying to take me up out of here, man. Yeah, that's it, man. Final talks, final laps, final answers. Call it what you will. We took that final walk and ran through this motherfucker one more again from bottom to top. You know what I'm talking about? And it just is what it is, man. All it really was about was just letting y'all know why I'm on the dogs I'm on. Know what I mean? The way I'm on them. And what fights to really tread lightly on, man. You know what I'm talking about? Because if we being honest with each other, more times than not, especially this past year, more times, because this past year the money lines have been crazy, but more times than not, one of these more significantly favored individuals, and one of the ones that's, you know, closer to or over the minus 500 money line, are the ones that have fumbled the bag. Know what I mean? If we're being honest, that's the way shit's been playing out. It's hard to look at this and be like, damn, we got Fatima at minus 900. We got Narulo at minus motherfucking 540. Jacoby at minus 535. And Tulio at minus 520. It's hard for me to sit here and be like, all of these motherfuckers is going to do what they need to do. Because I'm more confident in Narulo than Tulio. And I'm probably more confident in Jacoby than Tulio. They're the two biggest favorites. So now as far as the men are concerned. Now Fatima is the biggest favorite at minus 900, and Tulio was the other biggest favorite at minus 520. And I could see a night where Eeyore, I got action on Eeyore. I could see a night, especially at plus 390, and it's probably going to get better. Fuck out of here. Huh? You can take a plus 390, and if you're on Roman, Caesar, and Magomed, like me, those three right there, you can take those three legs that come together at plus like 150 right now, 153 I think, and add a plus 390 to it as a fourth leg. Woo! You know what I mean? And just put a sprinkle on that. $5 a man, throw a double on that. You know what I mean? Those three come together at plus 153. A plus 390 on top of a plus 153 and add it as a fourth leg. I know that's going to boost it to something crazy. Just drop a dub on it and see how it motherfucking play out. It's still going to give you a couple $100 probably. You know what I'm talking about? Me, I'll probably drop $40 on it, $10 a man, $40 on a four-leg parlay with a plus 390 coming in as my fourth leg. You know what I'm talking about? And see where that motherfucker roll. But I'm gonna have a couple different plays on Eeyore, man. I can see Tulio fumbling the bag. He's not somebody I see with a high ceiling in the UFC. He's not somebody I see winning the fights that Eeyore lost. You know what I mean? I don't think Tulio beats Caesar, and I don't think he beats Carlos motherfucking Oberg. Maybe he beats Nicolau, but if Nicolau caught him, he wouldn't fucking beat him. He'd just go down to the ground. You know what I'm talking about? So, and Fatima and Victoria, come on. Fatima's not going to be that gal over here. Jasmine already proved where her ceiling is inside the UFC. You know what I'm talking about? In my personal opinion, you feel me? Like, what is Fatima going to do? Like, what does Fatima do? If she goes in here and wins a highly competitive, closely contested matchup over motherfucking Victoria, what does she do? Am I not mistaken? Am I tripping? Or isn't this where, you know, the fucking Miranda Mavericks and the Macy Barbers and the, you know what I'm talking about? Isn't this where they all reside? Like, what the fuck is Fatima Klein really going to do, man? Huh? She's going to get fucking thrown around is what she's going to do, man. She's going to get upset. Her feelings are going to get hurt. She's going to realize she came to the UFC too early at 25. She's going to have to turn around, go back, and come back in at like 28 or 29. In my personal opinion, man, there's not too many winnable matchups ahead of her, even with a win over Victoria. You understand what I'm saying to you, man? It's other females, it's other individuals in this division that aren't going to let her have her motherfucking way with them. You know what I'm talking about? I don't see too many wins. She'd have to be properly matched up with, you know, like some Ernestas and Nicoles, like some other individuals that are off of the Contender Series and just don't have a whole lot of experience under their belt as of yet. Like, there's not a lot to do with Fatima. So I can see Fatima or Tulio. Now, all four of them big favorites might win. But I just feel like, and I've seen it happen more times than not, one of the big favorites lose. But let's keep in mind, maybe it's not one of these fools. Maybe it's the Austin line. Austin's like a minus 300 now over, you know, Christian Rodriguez. Maybe he's the one that fumbles the bag. You know what I'm talking about? I don't see Magomed fumbling the bag. It's a fight. Anything can happen, but I don't see it happening. You know what I mean? I don't see Caesar or Roman. And they're the other ones that are in the minus 200 going close to 300 when I wrote this down anyway. Now you understand why I don't like to fuck with what I don't like to fuck with when it comes to betting and parlaying. I operate how I operate, man. I don't like betting or parlaying on the first fight of the night, the last fight of the night, women's MMA, heavyweight MMA, individuals making their UFC debut, individuals over the minus 500 money line, or just ridiculously priced for absolutely no good reason, and fights that I have question marks on from one side, let alone both. If I can check any of them boxes, let alone multiple boxes, I don't want anything to do with you as far as my main bets and main parlays are concerned. So let's talk about it. The first fight of the night, well, that just happens to be Joe Selecki versus Narulo. Not only is it the first fight of the night, not only do I have question marks on that fight, but it's also over the minus 500 money line. Complete fucking pass. You know what I'm talking about? Let's talk about the last fight of the night. Not only is it the last fight of the night, not only is it women's MMA, but there are question marks because it is women's MMA. And what if the shit goes Mackenzie's way this go around? What if she's able to implement her wrestling and grappling and get this one down to the ground and maintain good top control, you know what I'm talking about, and put a fucking beating on Amanda? What the fuck if? You know what I mean? Complete fucking pass. You know what I mean? Heavyweight MMA. We don't have none of that on this card. You feel what I'm saying to you? Women's MMA. We have 3 of them on this card. So not only is Victoria and Fatima women's MMA, but Fatima is over the minus 500 money line, significantly so, and I have question marks on that fucking fight from both sides. It's a complete pass. You know what I'm talking about? Ernesta and Nicole, not only is it women's MMA, you know what I'm talking about, but I have question marks all over that motherfucking fight. You know what I mean? If Ernesta can't keep it upright, it's over. It's a long night for her, and Nicole might make it a short night for her by finding the finish inside the distance via submission. If she's able to keep it upright for her, it's a long night for motherfucking Nicole. Unless Ernesta is able to find the finish inside the distance via catching, clipping, and disconnecting her from her consciousness, man. This shit could be a fucking draw. You know what I mean? It's a complete fucking pass. So that's the first fight of the night. That's the last fight of the night. There's no heavyweight MMA. That's women's MMA. Individuals making their UFC debut. That's Jacoby. That's Austin Bashi. You understand what I'm saying to you? Not only is Jacoby making his UFC debut, but he's also over the -500 money line. And I have question marks on that fight, man. He likes to come in here and wrestle. Preston likes to come in here and wrestle. Whose wrestling's going to be better? Maybe Jacoby got the credentials. I don't fucking really know. It's just, it's mixed martial arts, though. It's MMA, you know what I mean? The 12 to 6 is back in play, man. You can shoot in for that motherfucking take. I could just start chopping behind your motherfucking ear, man. You know what I'm talking about? And you might go night-night, man. You might kiss the fucking canvas. It's a whole lot of other shit involved. It's not a wrestling match, y'all. You understand what I'm saying to you? So there's questions, man. Preston likes to wrestle. Preston likes to grapple. He might use that shit defensively to keep it upright. And we're going to see who wins a fist fight. Maybe them bolos come into play when he goes for the takedowns. Like, there's too many variables in mixed martial arts. It's not just wrestling. It's not just striking. It's not jiu-jitsu. It's not judo. It's not, you know what I mean? We all up in this motherfucker. Anything can happen. And they done brought shit back that can really fucking end your career if we keeping it funky in this motherfucker, man. You know what I mean? So, UFC debut, over the -500 money line, and question marks, man. Jacoby's undefeated, but how many individuals were undefeated prior to coming into the UFC and looked absolutely magnificent as well until they fucking didn't? Magomed's going to be one of them. Narulo's going to be one of them. You know what I'm talking about? These O's are going to go while I'm siding with these individuals tomorrow night. These O's are going to go. You dig me? So, it's question marks, man. It's a complete fucking pass. Then you got Austin Bashi. First Christian Rodriguez. Austin Bashi's making his UFC debut, and there is question marks all over this motherfucker. You are absolutely lying to me and yourself, trying to believe what you telling yourself. If you're telling yourself, I don't got no questions on this, Austin's just going to go in there and do what Austin do. He going to wrestle him, and that's that with that. He going to possibly find a finish inside the distance via submission, because he just got finished inside the distance via submission. That was by Julian Erosa. That was by a very different stylistic matchup. And while Austin might beat Julian and Julian beat Christian, Austin can't beat Christian. We know that's how this works, man. One thing has nothing to do with the other, but it's all worth consideration. We've seen jokers lose to individuals that, you know what I mean, they might have dog walked this cat, and this cat dog walked this cat, so they thought they was really going to dog walk this cat, but they slept on him and got dog walked by this cat. Styles make matchups, man. And sometimes you just run into a very bad stylistic matchup. And that may very well be the case for Austin Bashi, but that is to be determined. I have to rock with Christian for all the reasons I already told you and all the reasons you already know. He's 3-0 against undefeated fighters inside the UFC, 2-0 against undefeated fighters inside the UFC that like to implement a heavy and wrestling game plan, 4-0 in his career against undefeated fighters, man. How do I not rock with him to put that slash through those 4 dashes for that 5th, you know what I mean, snatch of an O right out of somebody's column? How do I not rock with him? How the fuck do I not rock with him? He did it once. He did it second time to a motherfucker who likes to implement a heavy wrestling and grappling game plan, made him go 3 for 16. Did it a third time to a motherfucker he made go 0 for 5 when he didn't like how it was going on the feet, so he tried to implement an all-around body of work. He stuffed all 5 of them. Then he did it the 4th time on a motherfucker who likes to implement a heavy wrestling and grappling game plan and made him go 7 for 16. Now this is, number 5. Put that slash in between all 4 of them guys, you know what I mean? Why wouldn't I rock with him? All for principle. And he's got a dozen fights over here in the UFC. He wasn't just here in 2024. He was also here in 2023. Oh boy, come on, man. You got proving grounds to cover Austin Bashi. Christian Rodriguez done already covered those grounds. He didn't already, and he's still improving. You know what I'm talking about? He showed us the level of opposition that he can compete with and where he's at right now on this tier. He's still improving. You ain't done that yet. You ain't done that yet. This your first test. Pass this test, then we'll see what's next. Then maybe we'll have a conversation about old boy. But until then, I gotta rock with Scrap until the wheels fall off. I took Pierce to beat him, and I took motherfucking Rosa to beat him, and I rocked with him to get Delgarian and them the fuck up out of there. Why wouldn't I rock with him again? Huh? Why wouldn't I rock with him again, man? I've pretty much been on the right side of this young man for the most part. Why wouldn't I rock with him again? He gonna lose against an undefeated fighter, and I'm gonna lose picking, with or against him. I had Julian Rosa, and everybody that was over here on the channel tapped in with me. We had Julian Rosa wrapping him up ASAP. Styles make matchups, and that was a bad stylistic matchup for him. Now I think Christian might be a bad stylistic matchup for Austin Bossie, much like he was for Isaac, Cameron, and motherfucking Raul Rosas. You know what I'm talking about? I know all of those were in a division below. You know what I mean? But he's been up here, over there, with that good team and that good company, coaches, teammates, support, surroundings, you know what I'm talking about? Putting in that work for this weight class. And he knows the task that's ahead of him, you know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. That's all this shit was really about. And let me get on the fuck up out of here, man, before we creep anywhere near another motherfucking 2 hours. You know what I'm talking about? We coming up on 90 minutes, man. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Best of luck, peace and blessings.